Well, good morning. How are you all today? Happy Monday morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm sitting here in the nice, peaceful eastern Kansas, having my second cup. Get a cup of something, and let's talk about America burning. I love living in a peaceful place. I think most of you all do too. But you know what goes on in those places that aren't that peaceful has an effect on us, so that's what I want to talk about. Before I get started, I want to remind you of our sponsor, the sponsor of all of my videos, and that is the Stone Mott series, the complete plan, and the best series, I am told. I've had a plan for, survive, and rebuild after a total collapse of everything. 7 novels that are just packed with more information and advice than you can shake a stick at. I'll tell you how to get them here in a little bit. But right now I want to get to what's happening in LA and some other places, but for the most part LA. Okay, so the idiots are going to town, right? What precipitated this? Well, you know, it's always something. The cause of this, of course, is this idea that victimization is power, and sadly, in our country, it can be. And it's over, you know, the arrests of ICE going after. I don't have to tell you this; you know all this. ICE is making arrests, right? And those people who make their money and get their political power as a result of upset people are making hay. Now, these kinds of things, and the thing that most people, I think, are concerned about is, well, what effect is this going to have on the country or on them? There are a lot of people talking a lot about this, obviously, right? It is the thing that is going on. It's taken the national attention off of some other things. And, you know, there are some people who have some ideas about that. But these things happen when certain people realize that they can gain political clout and money from standing up against the man, standing up against the law. Now, the questions have been: is there going to be martial law? Is there going to be this? Is there going to be that? Unlike most people out there, I have lived under martial law. I remember it. Not the total. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, martial law is a spectrum. It goes from very light to very heavy booted. But you know, I was a medium during the 1968 race riots in Kansas City, so I know a little bit about what can happen with that. What's going to happen with this depends on the law enforcement response. Okay. Law enforcement has already responded more forcefully than it did during the George Floyd summer. But, you know, I said, and I'm sure others have too, but I said that I thought this summer was going to be another summer of love, another summer of rioting and all that. And it's because Trump is in. Yeah. The other side sees this as their only hope for regaining or retaining the support of certain communities from which they get their political power, and then hopefully regaining some of their footing in anticipation of the next off-year elections. I don't think it's going to work in that way. But what happens, whether this grows or not, depends entirely on law enforcement response. We've seen, you know, the federalization of the National Guard, and I just saw Pompeo, or was it Hegseth, saying that active duty Marines from Pendleton are standing by in case they're needed. You know, that's a shame when our military has to be used domestically, but you know, hey, sometimes things happen. Now, the supervisor, and of course Newsom. Okay, I didn't make anything over the weekend on this. I barely paid attention to it, so I've just, you know, I've been through this dance before, right? So Newsom's saying, I'm not we're going to stand against Trump and his evil federal government, Gestapo, blah, blah, blah. I'm standing up. I'm not going to let him take California's rights. The right of criminals to stay in our country. The right of criminals not to be arrested, I suppose. That's what he's saying, right? And their county supervisor or whatever said, well, the only way to de-escalate this is for the police to retreat, like they did during the Summer of Love, and let everybody burn and everything. Well, that's not how you de-escalate. That's how you invite more problems. You stand by, you back up, and you encourage more destruction, and it's not going to stop, because the people who are calling the shots on this are not the people on the streets. You all know that. You got people calling the shots back there, and they are wanting to cause problems, seen worldwide, and this is one of those things that is going to have an effect on our country internationally. Let me interject here that it probably won't have any effect on you if you live in a smaller town, rural, or suburbs, or anything. It's not going to bother you at all. That's not where they do this stuff, because they don't care about doing this stuff where there's not, it's not newsworthy. Okay, nope. Nobody is going to send a news truck to, Podunk, Missouri, if a bunch of people walk down the street and try to set fire to a Dairy Queen, with Palestinian tablecloths on their head. Well, they might cover it, but people will just laugh, right? After Homer and his boys come out and whoop their butts. But this is going to have an effect internationally, because everybody's watching to see what's going to be done. That's one of my neighbors honking at me. I love to do that, to let everybody know whenever I wave at a neighbor, because so many people out there say, people in the suburbs don't know any of their neighbors. I know all my neighbors. That's why our neighborhood is safe. Okay. Do you remember 1968? Most of you don't. Some of you do. Okay. That's when they had the riots. And you know what happened as a result of that? The people of the United States wanted law and order again, and that's what got Richard Nixon in. And then a little while later, Ronald Reagan got in, because he had brought law and order to a bunch of idiots out in California. You allow things to escalate when you don't stomp them down immediately. If those of you who have read my books, the books that I held up a minute ago, know that I am big on taking care of a problem immediately, and to the extent that problem will never raise its head again. Now, that may sound like, well, that's a little harsh, Steve. No. Fewer people get hurt long term, fewer property damages done long term, if you take care of the problem right now and in such a way that it ain't coming back. People aren't going to get up. Now, Kelly just asked me before I came out here, she says, she was looking at the news, she says, how many people have been arrested on this? I have no idea, but I know one thing, not nearly enough. Not nearly enough. Here's what needs to happen. Every person who is out there who is doing anything illegal, here's how to stop this stuff. Anybody who is out there doing anything illegal needs to be arrested. I don't care if it's just them standing in the street. Standing in the street blocking traffic is illegal. Okay. Every one of those people. That's why they make flex cuffs, right? That's why they make zip ties. You run out of flex cuffs, go down to the Home Depot if it hasn't been burned down, and get you some zip ties. Zip tie those jokers and take them somewhere. I don't care if it's a stadium. You're going to run out of room in jail. Good. Every one of those people needs to be booked in. They need to be put on a high bond and not let out until they post their bond, and then they need to be prosecuted, and then we need to find something to do with them. Now, we don't have the housing that we need in our jails and prisons to house all these people, so we have to figure out something else to do, like picking up trash on the highway. But that's the way you do it. You pull these people off. Those cops, they don't need to be standing in a line holding people from moving forward. They need to be in their line, grabbing one person after another, throwing them back to the zip tie team, hauling them off, grabbing another, throwing them back. I tell you, it would not take long at all for this to be put down right now. The fact of the matter is that ICE and law enforcement is doing what they need to be doing. It's lawful. It's what they ought to be doing. And the weakness that we see, and it's not just weakness on the part of the left, it's their concerted efforts to destroy the country and to bring communism to our country. You've heard me list the 45 goals of communism before, right? Well, this is what it is. They're wanting to show America in upheaval, and they want to show it around the world, and Trump is not putting up with any of it, as far as I can see. And I think he's going to put the hammer down. If it was me, I would have put a bigger hammer down sooner, because all of this stuff further endangers innocent people and police. Cops are just out there doing their job. I know we have some cop haters on here. Well, screw you. You never did the job. And maybe your behavior is why you had trouble with them. How about that? Now, I'm not saying that every cop is a stand-up great guy, because I've known some who aren't, okay? But the vast majority of every guy I ever worked with below the rank of captain was a good guy, just trying to do his job, trying to serve his community and trying to get out there and go home at night. Simple as that. And so the longer you let this go, the more you endanger them, the more you endanger the National Guardsmen, the more you endanger the Marines if they come in. And, Molotov cocktails and things like that, they're no joke. They're no joke. Some 18-year-old pimply-faced high school dropout Antifa wannabe can toss a Molotov cocktail in the middle of some law enforcement, and all of a sudden you got somebody either dead or burned for the rest of his life. This stuff has to be stopped, and the kind of leadership that it takes, and I don't think we have that kind of leadership much anymore, because we're very risk averse, we're very liability conscious, but the kind of thinking that you need is you need to be able to see a situation, see its logical conclusion, and if that logical conclusion is a bigger problem, you squash it now. You squash it now. One of the scenes in my first book, now I am not talking, I want to preface this, I'm not talking about going outside the law. I'm not talking about law enforcement doing anything illegal. They don't have to do anything illegal. All they have to do is their job, right? In my first book, The Reversion, many of you have read it. Some of you remember the scene at the school where Elvin Barnes and his band of misfits were holding a bunch of, I won't go into it. It's kind of prurient. It's really bad, more than I want to talk about here on that. But when Stonemont went in and took care of it, and they released the captives, and they had all the perpetrators lined up, Jim explained to Christian, he said, now, our response to this has to be such so that not only do we serve justice here, but it's done in such a way that the story will be told, and it will grow through the telling in order to keep this crap from happening again. That's what has to happen out here. There shouldn't be a single protester out there at all. There should just be bus after bus after bus after bus hauling these assholes back to wherever they're going to hold them, zip tied and ready to pay. And that's what's going to happen. Now, what this is going to cause between California and the United States, nothing's. Newsom's talking big time. He's trying to get He's trying to hold on to his base of victimization misfits amongst all those little groups that think they're so put upon in the greatest country there's ever been. And so he's gonna make hay of this. Now there are those also who will say, well, Trump might be doing this. I haven't watched any other channels, but I know of a channel who will probably say something like this. Well, it could be. Now I'm not saying that it is, but it could be that actually Trump is starting this so that that it'll grow, and then he can clamp down and declare martial law on the. Now I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just saying this kind of crap. Nah, that's not what it is, guys. That is not what it is. This is typical communistas burning and hooting and hollering and creating a problem and making little misfits feel important, while their handlers, sit in their offices watching it on closed circuit and saying, "We're going to get more power and money out of this." That's what this is. It'll go on for a while. The less they clamp down, the longer it's going to last. Simple as that. The less they clamp down, the longer it's going to last. They could stop it by tonight, if they were willing to actually just enforce the law. And the sad thing is, there's too much going on in our country right now that, gosh, you hold people to account, and I have still people coming on this channel about some videos that I made a week or two ago when I warned about the potential race problem. I still have people coming on calling me a white supremacist, blah blah blah, a white boy, a white. Gosh, I've never been attacked this much in my whole YouTube career. I see what brings it out now, don't I? Well, this is going to be used just like the death of the criminal George Floyd was. I don't think it's going to be successful, but it's going to continue, and it's going to put innocent people in danger. It's going to cost millions, billions of dollars in business and in property damage, and I hope that they just slam dunk these little ticks out there, because that's what they are. They're nothing but ticks on the ass of a country who has, given them more than they deserve. Simple as that. Hey, I told you I'd tell you about. You want to read these if you are serious about preparedness. It could probably even help you in this situation. This should be the next thing you read if you have not read them yet. It's the Stonemont series. My books, that's me. I wrote them. 7 books: The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, Hostages to Fortune, and On Wings Like Eagles. One big story in 7 serialized novels about a prepared family who, as a result of their preparedness, was not only able to continue to live well after a complete collapse of everything, but was also able to go out and help other people, and then start to rebuild society and community the way it should be. And you know what? In one of the latter books, I cover how some Libby people, communist people, professors from a university came in and tried to stir up trouble, kind of like what we're seeing in our country now. And I explain how to handle those people. It's some of the favorite scenes for a lot of people in my books. But a lot of the favorite scenes are when I talk about how to handle troublemakers. Okay. If you'd like to get this, there's a couple of ways, and I suggest that you do. There's a couple of ways to get them. You can get them through Amazon, and that link is down below. There is a way that I like a lot better, but I have to give you a warning, a caveat on it, and that is you can get them directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. Now, as I've been telling you the last couple of weeks, we have been so inundated with orders over the last 2 months. we are about a month behind fulfilling orders. So I want to warn you about that. If you want them from me, autographed and a note written in each one to you, I love it, and I love it when you do that, because I like, I see your name, I get to write your name in there, write a little note to you. I kind of feel like I get to know my readers like that, and I love it when you do that. But please be warned, you're going to have to wait a little bit. Okay. Just had a meeting last night, as a matter of fact, with some of our fulfillment team, and I think we've come up with a way that we can improve our fulfillment. It's still going to take us some time to catch up, but I'm kind of excited about that. Anyway, if you're willing to wait for a month, order them directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. It's where you can also get these cool mugs and stuff like that, and you'll love it. So anyway, do that. You will love the book. You'll learn more than you can shake a stick at, the Stone Mott series. And as far as this stuff is going on in LA and wherever it might pop up, if it keeps going in LA, then you're going to see it pop up in other cities. If it doesn't, if they squash this bug pretty quick, you're not going to see it erupt in other cities. And like I say, as far as you all out in the smaller towns and suburbs and things, you're not going to be affected by this. You're going to be able to watch it on the news and go, good, I'm glad I don't live there. But for you, those of you living in the city, be careful. These things can flash anytime. Don't go down there to watch it and say, ooh, let's go see, kids. Let's go see what's going on. Stay away from these idiots. You get close to an idiot, you're putting yourself in danger, right? Okay. Hey, it's Monday, the start of a new week. I'm heading out on a big trip tomorrow. Have I told you all about it? I don't think so. Maybe I'll tell you about that later. But anyway, you all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And that's what it's all about. That's what preparedness is all about. It's about living well today and living well tomorrow, no matter what happens, right? All right. Y'all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.